I'd like to thank my colleague for their presentation. My name is Vikas Arora, and I'm back again to talk about some drug listing highlights. Here are the learning objectives for this presentation. First, it's to describe how to properly convert strengths and drug listings from labeling. 2 is to describe how to accurately list combination products. And 3 is to review the data inactivation process and explain how to resolve an inactivated listing. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about strength conversion in the drug listings. So the electronic format that is used requires standardization and compatibility with the SPL format. And this is it with regards to the dosage form, the route of administration, the unit of measure, the active ingredient, the labeling, and the strength, which is what we're going to talk about. So with regards to standardization and compatibility, FDA has adopted the USP standards for expressing strength. The strength in the SPL cannot be expressed as a percentage. So when converting the strength on the labeling to the SPL, please make sure that the strength aligns with the labeling provided. It must be in a fraction ratio format. It must contain a numerator and a denominator. And we do have automatic validations in place to verify this format, but sometimes these automatic validations don't catch all of the issues when converting the strength from the labeling. So with regards to the strength conversion, the SPL must contain format of the strength must contain a numerator and a denominator. The numerator is generally the weight or volume of the active ingredient, and the examples of the units are the milligrams and milliliters. The denominator is generally the weight or volume of the drug base or time. And the examples of the denominator units include milligrams, milliliters, hour, and per tablet. Here are some examples of what the SPL numerator and denominator units should be for different dosage forms. Pay close attention to the oral powder for reconstitution. The ones with the known volume have volume in the SPL denominator unit, and the ones with the variable volume have each as a denominator unit for each container. So what are some issues that can arise if the strength is not properly converted into the SPL? Incorrect strength conversion can cause automated validation errors if not in the correct formatting. If the strength conversion in the SPL doesn't match the labeling or the content of label provided, this can result in a compliance case. And corrections that are submitted will require CDER's manual review and approval prior to a manual override. This manual review process, as well as the manual override, can cause a delay in the posting of the drug listing. Please reference the following link below with regards to any assistance required when converting your strength into the SPL format. Now we will move on to discussing how to properly identify combination products in drug listings. So what are combination products? Combination products are composed of any combination of a drug and a device, a biological product and a device, a drug and a biological product, or a drug device and a biological product. From a CDER perspective, for drug listing purposes, there are 2 or more regulated components consisting of a drug with a biologic, or a drug and a device, or a drug, device, and a biologic, as you can see those combinations below. So what are different types of combination products that we can see? There's 3 different types. There's the single entity products, where there are 2 or more regulated components that are physically, chemically, or otherwise combined or mixed and produced as a single entity. There are co-packaged products, where there are 2 or more separate products that are co-packaged together into a single package or distributed as a unit. And then there's cross-labeled products, where there are 2 or more products that are distributed separately, but that are intended for combined use. So how do you know if your product is a combination product? Well, for products that are recently approved as NDAs and ANDAs, the 356H form can be referenced as sponsors must clearly identify a combination product. If it is unclear for older approved products or products not subject to FDA approval, please contact the Office of Combination Products at combination@fda.gov. So how do we properly identify a combination product in a drug listing? So when listing a combination product, we have to identify the product as a combination product in the listing and provide information on all constituent parts. So within the packaging data section, there is a section that says combination product type. You're going to select the drop-down and select the correct combination product type. So what are the listing requirements for the different combination product types? If you have a single entity combination product, it must be listed with the lead center. If you have a co-packaged combination product, such as a drug device product with a CDER lead, you would select kit for the dosage form and then identify each component. If you have a cross-labeled product, it must be listed with the lead center if the constituent parts are approved under a single application, and under multiple centers if they are separately approved under different application types. Here is a chart of the different combination product types with common examples that can be referenced when listing your combination product. Here are some helpful links that can be utilized when listing your combination product, including the chart referenced in the previous page. And now we will move on to our last topic, the data inactivation process. So the data inactivation FR notice was first published on August 14, 2019 and went into effect shortly thereafter in September 2019. It announced FDA's intent to inactivate outdated drug listings. There are two annual inactivation periods for different violations. There is the January inactivation and the July inactivation. And we will go into the reasons for these inactivations in later slides. So with regards to the data inactivation process, a notification is sent out to the labeler point of contact with the estimated date of inactivation if no updates are made. So please verify that the labeler code SPL has the most updated contact information. As mentioned in the presentation on the labeler code request, any updates to the contact information are required to be made within 30 days, and it's very important to keep this information up to date to receive this notification. So let's go into the reasons for the data inactivation. As previously mentioned, if a drug listing was updated during the current calendar year due to any changes that were made and an updated version of the SPL was submitted, that drug listing is now certified. But if there's no changes that were made or required during the current calendar year, under 21 CFR 207.57B2, registrants may satisfy the listing update requirement with respect to unchanged listing information by making a single no change certification during the annual certification period, which runs from October 1st to December 31st each year. Because of this requirement, drug listings that have not been updated during the current calendar year, nor have had a blanket no change certification submitted for them during the annual certification period, become uncertified in January. If you receive an inactivation notification email, a new version of the drug listing SPL must be submitted with any pertinent updates in order to reactivate or correct the data depending on the situation. So let's move on to the July inactivation. The July inactivation occurs for those listings that remain active and certified after the June listing update but contain at least one establishment not duly registered with FDA. So 21 CFR 207.57B states that registrants must review and update their drug listing information each June and December. So if updates are not made by the June requirement to those drug listings which are still linked to an unregistered establishment, they are inactivated in the July inactivation. So what are the consequences if your drug listing becomes inactivated? That drug listing will be removed from FDA databases, such as the NDC directory. That listing will be flagged in DailyMed as inactivated. And those listing and activation dates are transmitted through the NSDE files, and this can cause possible CMS reimbursement issues. So how do we resolve inactivation once it has occurred? Once inactivation has occurred, a new version of the SPL is required to be submitted to either certify the drug listing or update the listing with the correct establishment information. Once this listing has been updated, it can take 24 to 48 hours for a successful submission to be reactivated and take an additional time for downstream publications to be updated, such as the NDC directory and DailyMed. Again, resolving this inactivation that we're speaking about here is associated with the January and July inactivation, not due to inactivation due to a compliance case, in which case an SPL will have to manually be reviewed. Here are some helpful links below that can be referenced regarding data inactivation. So in summary, be vigilant when converting strengths from labels into standardized strength formats in the SPL. With regards to combination product listings, please note it's important to accurately describe the type of combination product in your listing as well as list your product with the correct center. And lastly, be aware of the data inactivation timelines that occur in January and July and certify or update your listings accordingly. And now let's go into some challenge questions. Challenge question number 1. True or false? The strength of an oral drug product that is a powder intended for reconstitution with variable volume should be described in the SPL as weight in the SPL numerator and each in the SPL denominator in the drug listing. The answer is true. Because this is a oral drug product for reconstitution with variable volume, the denominator should be each for each container. Challenge question number 2. True or false? Co-packaged drug device products with the CDER must select kit as a dosage form when listing the product. And this is true. For a co-packaged product with the CDER you must select kit as a dosage form and then select the component parts and identify them. And lastly, challenge question number 3. If a manufacturer referenced in a drug listing has been deregistered in February of a calendar year due to no longer manufacturing drug product for commercial distribution, when must the drug listing be updated? A. February, B. June, C. December, or D. Never? And the answer is June. If you have a change that occurs in February of the calendar year, you must provide that update by June of that year. Although we encourage an update to a drug listing to be made as soon as possible and to not wait until the June requirement. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to your questions in the Q&A panel.